AAGT Informs series webinar, Gifts for the Gifted. This webinar is to give you some ideas of what to give these unique individuals, whether it is for holidays, birthdays, or a recommendation for out-of-town friends and relatives. It is good to have a few ideas to share. Some of these you will have heard of, but I am hoping that you find a new idea as well. I do not receive anything from the companies that I mentioned. These are just what I have found useful throughout the years. There will be a reference list available at the end of this presentation. I have also included NAGC's recommended toys from the April 2020 edition of Parenting for High Potential. My name is Carolyn Ragatz, and I have been in education for over 30 years, much of the time spent with gifted children. I also have 2 gifted sons and have often had to struggle to find the right item for them. I will not be focusing on video games or other screen-related items. Although I do feel these have a place in our children's lives, I too enjoy entertainment that comes from in the digital form. I strongly believe that people need to experience life in a more well-rounded manner. So let's begin. This webinar will cover the characteristics of a great gift, games, reading, makers, and experiences. What makes a great gift? The first thing is, does it last? We have all seen kids who open a new toy and within a short time of play, it is not touched again. The goal is to find something that the person will return to again and again or get hours of enjoyment out of. Some things that gifted kids really relate to are items that include creativity, imagination, problem solving, and challenge. The brain craves novelty, and being actively engaged this is especially true for our gifted children. Finding the perfect combination of these known skills and new learning will make a perfect gift. Another thing that is important to develop in our gifted children is teamwork and communication. Building these skills, especially in a world we are more disconnected, is important. As we lived through 2020, we have learned that how important human connection is. Many jobs and types of learnings can be done at home, individually, on the computer. But is that what is best for people? As children spend more time in structured activities and less time just hanging out with each other, the natural development of these social emotional skills are not happening. Finding ways to help your children develop these is really important. The items that I will be sharing with you today all exhibit one or more of these characteristics. Games. Much of my research has been around traditional tabletop games. This does not include digital versions of any game. I have looked at game design, how people play games, and people's feelings while playing games, positive and negative. Although I said I would not be spending time on video games, I realize that it is what many people prefer. So I will touch on those as well. Gameplay includes 3 basic elements: strategy, chance, and risk. Strategy are like the ultimate chess or risk type games, which is mostly strategy. Chance would involve dice or cards or things that they don't have a lot of control over. And risk is the unexpected piece. So when you're playing Monopoly and you get your chance card, even though you're all planned what you're doing, and suddenly you have to turn around. The back to start squares on board games. That's the risk factor, and that's what makes a game exciting. All games include one or more of these. Many games are a combination of these things, but those are the elements that make a game. People prefer different types of those. My husband is a total strategy game guy. He prefers that with very little chance. My children lean towards that as well, and I like more of a mix. And games I play, I enjoy winning, but I play to have fun more than people and then there are people that are extremely competitive. So it's different types of gameplay. It is important to understand what your child leans towards to find a game that is a good fit. One way to do this is by playing different types of games. That way you can kind of figure out what their interest level is and what they relate to and which they like more. Although it's good to give kids experience in all types, even if it's not their go-to type of game. There are different categories of games as well. So categories include things like card games, which would be Pokemon, Magic, traditional games like poker and rummy. The Set Company has created great card games. A couple of those that are favorites are Quiddler and Set. Set Enterprises, the company that created those games, has been bought out by another company, Monster Play, and Play Monster, and they carry other great games as well. But that's where you can find the Set games. You can also find them at a lot of stores, which wasn't always the case. Board games, Monopoly and Risk and Candyland, those are all classic board games. Role play games or simulation type games. So those could be mystery in a box kind of games, or Dungeons and Dragons, and there's some other ones for younger kids. And then party games. These have become increasingly popular. Games like Apples to Apples, Pictionary, Code Names, those games that are more about getting together and having a good time playing than one person winning. So video games also have all these same types of games. So you can have a video game that's more strategy based, more role play based, a shooter game, different kinds of things. The other types of things that you find in games are themes. So Monopoly, for example, has lots of different themed Monopoly games. There are games based on books like Harry Potter. There's games based on movies. There's games based on that take a traditional game like Life and then tweak it to fit with that theme. There's games on ancient civilizations like Egypt or Rome. So there's lots of different things that if that is also an interest of a child, then you can find a game that goes with that, and that can be make it a lot more fun for them. So as far as what characteristics the games fall into, you can see problem solving, of course, in games because you're trying to win the game. Teamwork. One of the trends that's happened recently over recent years is cooperative board games. I think Pandemic was one of the first ones, which I'm not sure that would be a good choice right now, but there are some other types of that where they work together. There's a relatively new Hogwarts game where they work together to defeat you know who, and that's a different element. I think some of that comes from video games, because video games are often playing against a computer, whether you're a team or by yourself. So so that's kind of a take on that into board games, and it adds a different element to a board game. Those can be a lot of fun with families. Games offer communication because you have to communicate with people that you're working with. You have to communicate if you're working together on something or you're playing or any of those kinds of things. And challenge. You want a game that's challenging. So as Candyland and Chutes and Ladders are early games that kids learn. Now they learn the structure of a game and how it works. Those aren't very challenging in the long haul. So eventually kids are going to want something that's more challenging and interesting for them. And some games use imagination. So imagination would be in your role-playing games or in those types of games or even some of the battle games, I think, use imagination, because if you're battling with a card, you've got to see that in your head as you're structuring what you're doing. A couple of sources that I find useful, they're also on the reference page, but I wanted to kind of show you how to use them. One is Simply Fun, and the other one is Board Game Geek. So we're going to take a minute to look at those sites. Simply Fun is a host type of game company. So you have a game party and one of the representatives comes as a direct sale. They're not in stores. and then you can play the games and experience them, and people order them, and kind of like the old Tupperware parties. But they also have an online store. And the thing that's kind of nice about the online store is you can go and this is a picture of the shopping part of the online store. If you want to host a party, you can get that there too. But you can put in your age. So if you wanted mid-elementary, and let's say you wanted a math game, there's a bunch of different types of math games, maybe mathematical or scientific thinking, and then you would see what would come up. And then you could even do other kinds of advanced selections on it, and then they will search. So rather than just searching through everything and trying to figure it out yourself, they help narrow things down. So even though they look a little educational, they're also fun because they're games. The other site is Board Game Geek, and this is a site that reviews games. Let me make sure you're actually seeing that one. Okay. So this is a forum that people add information. So there's the people that run it, but then also people put in their own reviews and that kind of thing. But what I really like about this site is they show you specifically what type of game it is. So this is their game list their gift game list for this year. And if you say, look at this Marvel Champions, it's a card game, you can see here what categories it comes under. So it's a cooperative game, it's deck construction, so you're building your deck to compete, it's cards, and it has collectible components. If you scroll down, it kind of puts them into categories as well, and it gives you an age range. So this is a physical removal. So like Jenga is a physical removal game. Kerplunk, that's an old game, is a physical removal game. Pick up sticks. So that's the kind of thing that is. It's a tower of gems melting. So, and if you click on it, then you get a little bit more information about it. Sometimes they have videos where you can see it being played, but it'll tell you about how long it takes to play, which I think is valuable as a parent. So there's good information on this site, and you can often find some games that are unusual that they might not have heard of. I think when you look at age, of course, with gifted kids, you often want to go up a little bit, but then you got to look at the content and make sure it still fits, especially when you get into role play and some of those kinds of games. All right, back to the presentation. Those links are also in the reference list. Magazines and print material. All right, so books are always a great gift for gifted kids. Most kids love to read. So buying them books is always a great thing. I encourage parents to do a couple of different things. One is let kids into some different genres that they might have not tried before, to kind of encourage them broadening their reading. A lot of times kids get into one genre and then they never veer out of that. So it's good to get them to have more experience. And second of all, to include nonfiction. A lot of students like to read nonfiction. DK is a great source for nonfiction. They publish all kinds of nonfiction books with all kinds of great topics, and they have a lot of visuals to help with the material, so you're not reading just dense text, but they're all very factual, and I often have students poring over those in my classroom. One of my favorite things to give, though, is magazine subscriptions. I feel like magazine subscriptions are, the gift that just keeps getting, because they get, 6 or 12 of them a year. And so those can come often and add new excitement. If it's a great gift for someone out of town to give, because then it reminds them, oh, grandma sent me this, I got another one. So you kind of think about grandma. And they're great for like having in the car, taking with you. If you lose one, it's not the end of the world. So there are a lot of companies out there, and a lot of people have heard of Ranger Rick and Highlights, and those magazines have leveled magazines. So Highlights has, I think one's called Hello and High Five, and then Highlights. So they're younger versions of the magazine and easier. There's a games magazine, which is all paper and pencil type games. And that can be a lot of fun if kids like Sudoku or word games and those kinds of things. There's a lot of games in there you might not have heard of before. The other thing about magazine subscriptions now is you often get a digital subscription as well, so you can, or just a digital subscription, but a digital one, and you can, there's more links and that kind of stuff. The one series of magazines that a lot of people aren't familiar with is Cricket Publications. And again, they have a bunch of series, but my favorite two out of this series are the Ask, which is a lot of science-based, and there's experiments to do and cooking and things like that. And then Muse magazine. And so I want to take a look at Muse magazine for just a minute, since most people have not heard of this one. So Muse is a thematic. So these are past issues of Muse, and it's a thematic issue. So I'm going to take a look at this perfectionism one. And there's all kinds of great articles on perfectionism and how that relates. Short articles, longer articles, things that relate to kids. The other thing that's kind of fun is there's this comic series that are in every episode, every issue, so they can check those out. But there's a lot of really good information, and it relates to whatever their topic is. They're the kinds of things that our gifted kids are often questioning. So this is a really great publication for them. So books and magazines, what off of our characteristic lists do those provide for our students? Imagination. There's often stories. One of the lines of the Cricket magazine is a magazine that's just out of, is nonfiction story, or is fiction stories. Some of them even are children's publication. There's opportunities for kids to submit stories and things like that. But obviously books provide lots of imagination as well as imagining the stories. Communication, because the author is communicating to the child, and if they're reading an experiment or nonfiction information, they have to be able to understand that and communicate. And sometimes it's other types of communication, because now they have some questions to ask parents and other people. And oftentimes they're challenging for them. It's great to keep books in just the right level for them, that is a little bit challenging, not too easy of a read. Tell students, if you're finishing that book in a couple hours, it's probably too easy. Not that we never want to read books that are easy, especially, you know, like we all have our beach reads or our mindless books, but you want children to be challenging themselves to increase their reading level. That can be hard with gifted kids. I understand that. Magazines as well, because their reading level is often farther along than their maturity level. So you do have to be careful of that with books and magazines. All right. Next up are makers, which I just called craft kits when I was a kid, but now they're called maker or do-it-yourself, DIY. And there's tons of those kits out there. And this is a great thing to give kids. And there's lots of different choices. So you have crafts, arts and crafts of all different kinds. I have to just walk down Michael's or Joanne's craft aisle, and there's lots of choices. Encouraging kids to be makers and creators is great for a gifted population. Some of these even turned into lifelong habits. I learned how to crochet when I was in 4th grade, and I still do it all the time. And so it can maybe spark their interest in something. And kits are a small commitment, so they can try it and then maybe go buy all the supplies to do more of it later on. Besides Michael's and Joanne's, which people often think of, museum stores, like the Smithsonian has a museum store, and the Phoenix Art Museum has a museum store. Some of them are online, some of them are just at the museum, but they often have kits that are different or more challenging than the ones you would find at the local craft store. Building sets are another great thing for kids if they're not the crafty type, but they like to bang on stuff. They're great. Some of those at the same places carry those. Home Depot and Lowe's also have kits. They used to have a workshop, kids workshop, the first weekend of the month. Obviously right now we're not doing that, but eventually that will come back, hopefully. but they now have the kits online that you can buy the materials and go through reading the instructions and putting things together, and then they can paint them or whatever to make them their own. Besides wood building sets, you also have Connects and some of those other types of building sets that are great for kids, one for following directions, but also for learning how to manipulate things, magnetic ones, different types of things. When buying Lego, I encourage you to purchase boxes of blocks, and they sell the just block kits rather than to make a specific item. The specific items are fun because you can make a really great ship, the Millennium Falcon or a TIE Fighter, those kinds of things. But generally what happens with kids is once they make those, they don't want it to be anything else. So it has some good skills in following directions, but then one, you have all of these items to keep track of, but also there's not a lot of creativity in that. So just having the bricks and having them create from scratch is a better way to build their curiosity and their creativity and things like that. And then lastly, our science kits. So there's lots of those. Again, museum stores are a great place to find those. And the Smithsonian one has a lot of really great ones. But those are great little, experiments because everything's there. You don't have to run around to get it. And it again might spark an interest to something later on, or a future hobby. So kits provide creativity and imagination, making different things, problem solving. Sometimes things don't go the way they say in the direction. So sometimes they have to figure out how it's going to work, or problem solving and figure out how the tools work, or problem solving another way to use it once you've used up everything in the kit. Teamwork, so if kids are working on these together, siblings are working on them together, or a parent and child are working on them together, you have to work together and you have to communicate. And there's also the communication of learning to read directions and follow them. And that can be very challenging for kids. And perseverance. One of the things that I see often with gifted children is they don't want to stick to things. We live in a very instant society. Nothing takes that long. You can get food instantly. You can, press of a button, all kinds of things happen. So many things are automated, and a lot of kids are not learning to spend time and stick to something. So that is a good skill for them to be learning for later in life. And gifted kids often, things come pretty easy to them, especially when they're younger. And learning to struggle through something that's hard or take some dexterity that they might not have developed yet is a good skill as well. Learning how to deal with that frustration when you can't get the piece in, or you can't figure out what piece goes next, or any of those kinds of things, or the knots to come out right if you're tying knots or making bracelets, is a good thing for those kids to develop. And learn how to work through that frustration, learn how to problem solve and figure out ways around things. So there's a lot of skills that can be gained in various types of kits. So many of our kids have lots of stuff, and adults have lots of stuff too, but we have lots of stuff. And so sometimes a special experience can be a great gift for a child. And can maybe spur a new interest that can continue past the event itself. So it could be taking a class, or it could be going someplace for something new to experience with them. When my kids were young, we took a couple ceramics classes together. We had a great time creating together and having that shared experience. I realize in our current situation, most of these are not available right now, although some places are putting on virtual classes and virtual experiences. So you can check that out, or buy something or give a child a coupon for something for in the future and something to look forward to when all of this is over. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So here, let me give you some examples of what I'm talking about. So lessons or classes, arts and crafts. Again, you can tell that I kind of enjoy that part of things. I might just figure out my son here. Arts and crafts classes you can get at Joann's and Michael's. You can get in Park and Rec programs have them. Some of them, like I said, are doing them virtually now. But those are a great way to try something before you want to commit to spending a lot of money on those items, and have someone help you there to help you with things, and then maybe venture into doing it on your own. Coding is really popular. There's coding stores and places that, you know, have coding lessons, and that can be really fun for kids. Drama of all types. The improv group here in Chandler does drama classes. The Gamage does them. A lot of Child's Play does them. So there's a lot of companies that offer those kinds of experiences to children. Cooking classes, you can go online and look for cooking schools for adults and kids. You can do them as families, or you can do just for kids. That's a great skill for kids to learn. Sports, obviously we have kids that are, you know, your soccer lovers or play baseball, but I know that a lot of gifted kids, that team sports like that isn't their thing. But there's some unique sports out there that I've had gifted students participate in. I've had some students that take archery, fencing, martial arts, things like that, which is kind of a nice for those more solitary kids, or the kids that do not want to be responsible in a team. Those are some great experiences for them, and it's a good thing to try. And there are great specialty camps out there, everything from nature lovers to sports camps to climbing outdoor adventure to local ones. Camp Invention is a great experience. So there's lots of those specialty things, and some people do those on a regular basis with their kids, but they can be kind of a nice special experience, but you know, to give as a gift. Places to visit. Museums, of course, are great. We have some great museums in Phoenix, the Phoenix area. A lot of them have children's programs or family days. The national parks have junior ranger programs, which are great. I remember doing that down in the Sonora Desert Museum, National Park, and the kids had a great time with that. So those experiences can be really great for the kids. Concerts, again, something we're not having right now, but that is a great experience for kids to learn what concert etiquette is, how to watch a live performance. It's very different than watching things on TV. And also the Phoenix Symphony has family concerts, and then there's usually hands-on activities that kids can do before the concert starts. Plays, Child's Play, of course, is a fabulous company that has children's oriented shows, often with tie into books, but a lot of the theaters have a show in their season that is kid friendly or a kid oriented one. Gamage will have one usually. The Hale Theater often has one. Local dinner theaters often will have one with the lunch instead of a dinner. So those are great experiences for kids to learn to appreciate the arts and take part in those. Escape rooms have gotten really popular. There's some that are designed for children and families. The Renaissance Festival is one of our favorites as a family. We've been going for years, and we always go in costume, which can be an added fun for your child. You can, when you're with the older children, they can research and see what type of costume they should wear and help make it and those kinds of things. And it really changes the experience when you go in costume. So experiences hit all the marks. You can have them be creative, use your imagination, problem solving, teamwork, especially if they're working together on something, communication, you have a teacher communicating within the class, and often they're a challenge. Again, I encourage parents to find ones that are something that they don't already do all the time and have them try new things that maybe they're not as good at, but that's okay. Sometimes it's great to take them with your child so they can see you learning how to do something as well, so you're not perfect at it either. And along with this, I feel like the gift of time is one of the things that a really important thing that we can give our children. We live in very busy times and very scheduled and distracted times. So I think that the gift of time is really important. When I say gift of time, that includes 100% being present. That means phone is off or alerts are off and you are there with your child. So some of the things that I have as ideas for that, you can either plan these ahead of time, give them a coupon, make a jar of these ideas, and they get to pick one at certain times. But here are some that we have used in the past in our family. So date night or date afternoon. This is especially nice if you have more than one child, because that's a one-on-one time with one parent and one child. And they get to pick what to do, whether it's going out to dinner for a treat, going on a picnic, playing basketball together, something that's just them and you, and that time spent together. We do that a lot when kids are little and they need more supervision. It's one of those things that tends to fade out as kids get older, and it's even more important to stay connected. Sometimes it's easier to have conversations with kids when you're doing something else at the same time, and so that's a really important time. Game nights, those have gotten really popular even before we were in this COVID world. But I think that, again, those are a great way for families to spend time together and let the kids pick the game. I like them better than movie nights just because there's more conversation and more interaction playing together. Playing games teaches kids how to be gracious winners and losers. And I have noticed with kids over the years, the more they play video games and not play tabletop games, they have lost some of those skills. Those skills are not getting learned, because in a video game, you can always start over or get a new life. And if you're mad, you can yell at the computer all you want and nobody's feelings are going to be hurt. And playing with real people is very different. And so it's an important skill for kids to learn to prepare them for life. To borrow a term from Home Depot, their latest catchphrase is how doers get things done. And I think a doer day or project day is a great thing to do as a family or with one child. They get to pick a project to do, something on their interest or something they've always wanted to learn how to do, and learn how to do it and do it with them. So from finding it on the internet and either the directions or a YouTube video, because you can find how to do anything on YouTube, and figuring out your list and going shopping and planning it and then executing whatever the project is. There is a definite feeling of pride and accomplishment when something is created by hand, and they can come in, and when people come to their house and say, I built that planner, or I planted that garden, or I made this or that in the house. So some kinds of projects like that really are a child can be proud of and work through many of the things that we've talked about, the problem solving skills, communication skills, and those kinds of things that they need to develop. So we've talked about what the criteria for a good gift. That involves creativity, imagination, problem solving, teamwork, communication, challenge. And the things that I shared with you today all have several of these, if not all of them, when you find those right ones. So that includes games of all different types, reading materials, kits of different types, and experiences. The last part of this presentation is a list of some of the companies that I have mentioned and some of the places that you can go to find some of this. And I hope that this has been helpful for you. And good luck with everything. Good luck getting through the holidays, and stay safe out there. Thank you.